morning, my loves. So today we are going to be tackling my immense TBR. That's how bad my TBR is. Anyway, if you watched my last video, my TBR is getting a little bit crazy. I have way too many physical books and I definitely have not read, bet I haven't even read 50% of it. And like, I really need to get a handle on it before I get more books. And so my last video was me doing my last book haul before going on a book buying ban. I haven't determined what benchmark I want to reach before I can let myself buy more books, but I thought a good way to make sure that I am consistently reading books on my TBR, and I'm sure this has been done before, but alphabet reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a series where I read books in alphabetical order. So going by the letters in the alphabet, A, B, C, D, etc. The only rule that I have for this is that I am not going to include articles as the first word. So like, for example, if a book starts with A, or like A Shadow in the Ember, I get it, it's bad. I don't know, I'm trying. So for example, if I'm reading A Shadow in the Ember, I'm not including A as the first letter of that title because I feel like that'll exclude a lot of titles that I own. So S would be the first letter of that title, and therefore it'd be a candidate for me to read when the time comes that I'm using the letter S. Or another really popular one, the, I'm not going to include that as well because the is the article that starts a lot of different books. So for this video, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. Today, we are going to look at the candidates for the letter A. I didn't have as many A books as I thought I would have. Apparently A is not a very popular letter to start off with, but I did get some good ones. The first one is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
I'm going to murder myself because didn't I just say that A is not part of it? Why am I an idiot?
This is the story of an investigation turned obsession. A pretty and popular high school senior, Annie Bell, was murdered by her boyfriend, Sal Singh, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for the final project. At first, just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon, as she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present begin to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. So this one is not the typical type of book that I would read, but I am really intrigued by this series. I've heard so much about it. The only con that I might consider is that this is a series, and if I'm going to be alphabet reading, it's not what I want. The next one is so gorgeous. It is Aristotle and Dante Discovered the Secrets of the Universe. This is the 10th anniversary edition that I got from Barnes & Nobles. It is so beautiful. Everything about it is gorgeous. It just feels so great in my hands. And it's by Benjamin Alir Sains. And if you're keeping up with my 1,000 book challenge, this is number 130 out of 1,000. One of these days I'm gonna have to do a video where I like organize my 1,000 books because I have no idea what anything is numbered anymore. I also changed how I number the books. So originally I was using Post-it notes to like put the number in, but since then I got like a stamp, one of those like library stamps that I could change the dial, and so I like stamped the number. I love it so much. Dante can swim, Ari cannot. Dante is articulate and self-assured. Ari has a hard time with words and suffers from self-doubt. Dante gets lost in poetry and art. Ari gets lost in thoughts of his older brother who is in prison. Dante is fair-skinned. Ari's features are much darker. It seems that a boy like Dante, with his open and unique perspective on life, would be the last person to break down the walls that Ari's built around himself. But against all odds, when Ari and Dante meet, they develop a special bond that will teach them the most important truths of their lives and help define the people they want to be. But there are big hurdles in their way, and only by believing in each other and the power of their friendship can Ari and Dante emerge stronger on the other side. So I'm really intrigued by this since this is an MM romance and it just looks so beautiful, and this is rated so highly and praised so much on Goodreads. Then we have Assistant to the Villain. So this one is just a super cool premise. I love the red pages. It's giving red bottoms. Assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks loyal, level-headed assistant for unspecified office duties, supporting staff for random mayhem and terror and the other dark things in general. Discretion a must. Excellent benefits. I'd do it for the benefits, honestly. I'm turning 26 soon. With ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't important, it's vital. So when a mishap with Renadon's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. No job is perfect, of course, but even less so when you develop a teeny crush on your terrifying, temperamental, and undeniably hot boss. Don't find evil so attractive, Evie. But when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from ceilings, an odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects that this dungeon has a huge rat, not just the literal kind. Because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Now Evie must not only resist drooling over her boss, but also figure out exactly who is sabotaging his work and ensure he makes them pay. After all, a good job is hard to find. So I actually started reading this book a bit ago, and I had to stop because I was in the middle of filming a YouTube video, and I just had to read a lot of books for it. So I was like, okay, let me just pause this and I'll revisit it. I now have to choose between these 3 books. But out of the 3 of these, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to read Aristotle and Dante, Discover the Secrets of the Universe, because I'm so entranced by that summary and also just the entire look of this book and that it's talked about so highly. Good morning, guys. So last night I went to bed entirely too late because I stayed up reading Aristotle and Dante, Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I did not expect to be so into the book so quickly. Like, the writing is just so simplistic. It's not written like a typical YA romance in like a typical narrative prose, and I don't really know how to explain it unless you read it. Like, the chapters are so short, the lines are very simple, but there's a lot of profound sentiments that are covered in this book. Yes, the central of it is like 2 boys getting to know each other and feeling lost and alone and then finding each other and then falling in love. But it is based in a root of deep friendship with one another, and also the intricacies of family, also race, because they're both Mexican American, but one of the boys, Dante, he feels detached from his Mexican identity, and then it bothers him that that's like something he's conscious of. And Aristotle just is always Mexican, has always felt Mexican, like he doesn't feel disconnected from that part of his life. So it's like these 2 boys interpreting that identity of themselves. I feel like it's gonna be a really great friends to lovers. And so I'm really excited. I'm already on page 140, 359 pages. So I gotta get going to work, but I read a lot of pages. Like, it's such a quick book. I'm on page 211, so I read like 70 pages. It's super quick. But right now we're in a really like angsty spot because Dante's in Chicago, currently like living there for a year because of his parents. Him and Ari are like writing letters back and forth, but Ari is like, I'm pretty sure he's like repressing his feelings for Dante, and he's getting a little bit confused because Dante's writing him about kissing people and like experimenting with like girls, but also thinking about boys, and like he just doesn't know what to do with himself, and he's not good at like expressing his feelings. The one part that made me so emotional was then when he said, I really think that I present myself like my dad. On the outside, I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to hear words from anybody. But on the inside, he needs those words. And basically saying that like he doesn't want to say it or express that he needs it, but on the inside, he really wants words of affirmation from other people. And I was like, wow, retweet that one. Once I get home, I'm definitely going to be reading some more of this. I'm so in love with it so far. I am pretty sure I'm gonna go ahead and finish right now Aristotle and Dante, Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Wow, that is a mouthful. I'm on page 300, so I have 59 pages left. So far what's happened is that Dante and Ari kissed, and Ari was like, that did not work for me. But meanwhile, he's like contemplating like, you know, like just kissing in general and just like how he feels about Dante and like how important he is to him and how he hates that he has all this emotion. And all I keep thinking is that I should not be relating this much to a 15-year-old boy. Hey guys. Move. Oh my god. Hey guys, I've arrived. Oh my god, don't shut the door. Oh
hey
no.
Guys, I need a microphone.
No.
I'm sick
In the head.
I'm reading Iron Flame right now.
Are you updating?
I am.
You're updating
viewers.
Yeah.
So basically what happened, spoilers.
I'm about to run out of battery, girly. Make
Well,
it quick.
your battery's fine.
I just finished Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, and oh my god, I loved this book so much. I think it was so simple, and yet I related to Ari like nothing else. If anyone is like, tell me about yourself, I'm just gonna hand them this book and be like, here you go. It wasn't even just that this was like the cutest best friends to lovers, but I feel like it was even more than that. Like somehow like the love that they had for each other was just enhanced by the fact that like I loved each of their backgrounds. Like I feel like we got so many pieces of each of their lives, especially Ari, his Aunt Ophelia, who was a lesbian, and like his brother who was in jail, and his dad who never talked about war and that really bothered him, and his brother who like never existed in his house but existed in his mind, his mother who like had a better relationship with him and always tried to like analyze him and get him to talk. Like all of those things accumulated, making the love that he had for Dante so much sweeter. The love that Ari had for Dante was just like, yes, confusing to him, but like also just so special because he didn't have one single person in his life that he gravitated to except Dante. Dante's my friend. I wanted to tell them that I never had a friend, not ever, not a real one, until Dante. I wanted to tell them that I never knew that people like Dante existed in the world. People who looked at the stars and knew the mysteries of water and knew enough to know that birds belonged to the heavens and weren't meant to be shot down from their graceful flights by mean and stupid boys. I wanted to tell them that he had changed my life and that I would never be the same, not ever, and that somehow it felt like it was Dante who had saved my life and not the other way around. I wanted to tell them that he was the first human being aside from my mother who had ever made me want to talk about things that scared me. I wanted to tell them so many things, and yet I didn't have the words. So I stupidly repeated myself, Dante's my friend. At the end, when they do get together, it's like simplistic and beautiful, and he's like holding his hand, which he says contains all the mysteries of the universe, and he says, how could I ever be ashamed of loving? So cute, I cannot. So I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. It was excellent. I think the only reason I didn't give 5 stars was just because in the middle, when they were in Chicago and they were kind of separated, that part was a little dry for me. I did like the letter writing back and forth because it's 1987. They can't like be texting each other. Such a good book. Oh my god, I recommend this so hard. This is so good, and I almost don't know if I want to read the second one because first of all, the second one is rated less highly, and also just because like I feel like this book is like complete. Like I feel like this is a standalone. Like it should be one book unto itself. The ending was just so perfect. So it is the next night. Yes, I'm wearing the same outfit, okay, but I swear it's the next night. I have to choose my B book now. Turns out I have more books that begin with B than I thought. First one is Babel. This is like a fantastical read. It's set in 1828. Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton. First of all, cholera is my Roman Empire. I constantly think about the cholera epidemic. That is what I think about in my free time. About how at the time, cholera sped like crazy because people shit in the streets and it smelled so bad that they had nowhere else to put it but the river, anyway, that they had to shit in the street and then throw it in the river, which was their drinking water. Even worse, at the time, ice cream was invented. And I don't know why I just assumed this, but ice cream cones and ice cream did not get invented together. And so they would serve ice cream in these little tiny shot glasses that called penny lickers. And what they would do is that they would eat the ice cream and they would give back the glass. And they would just kind of like sprinkle, wipe, and reuse it for other people. And they found traces of feces not only in the ice cream, but also on the cups because people were spreading cholera. Orphaned by cholera in Canton is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, Robin trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. The tower and its students are the world's center for translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power. As the arcane craft serves the Empire's quest for colonization. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge obeys power, and as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, he realizes serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress,
Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy ENORMOUS Society, an organization dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? I'll be honest, it was basically a combination between the cover and the rating that drew me in, and I don't know why I just assumed this. I just assumed that this had romance in it. It does not. I looked it up. Somebody had the same question as me on Goodreads, and it was like, romance is implied, but it's like not even a subplot, and I'm like, okay, well that just won't do. Like, I think it's gonna be interesting, but it's a long book for something with no romance in it. So the next one is Blind Side. This one I cannot believe I haven't read. I've had this book for the longest time, and basically the premise of this is they agree to fake date because the guy wants to make his ex-girlfriend jealous, and the girl is, I think they said like she's actually a virgin and she just doesn't know how to date people, and she likes this guy, but like she's no idea how to talk to him. The football player is like, well, I'll teach you. So that's the premise of Blind Side by Candy Steiner. I've heard really good things about this one. Next one is Brutal Prince. This came at the recommendation of my sister. It's by Sophie Lark. She read it. She really likes it. They're a match made in hell. The Griffins and the Gallows have been battling for control of Chicago's underworld for generations. Their rivalry has been flammable, but it reignites with a fury when Ada, the youngest and wildest Gallows sibling, crashes the party at the Griffin mansion, accidentally sets fire to the library. To stave off all-out war, her father quickly arranges a marriage between her and Callum Griffin, eldest son and heir to the Irish mafia. Cold, ambitious, and brutal, Callum is determined to tame his headstrong new bride, but Ada is more than capable of giving as good as she gets, starting with poisoning Callum on their wedding night. The problem is murdering him would be a lot easier if he didn't look so good while she was trying to do it. She's got a lockbox around her heart, he's got something to prove, in their struggle for dominance, who will go up in flames first. I think I read this. Doesn't she like feed him strawberries because he's allergic, like on their wedding night? Last one I have is Beach Read. I was supposed to read this in the summertime when I did my summer video, but I just never went to the beach for some reason last summer, which is like honestly a crime, and I want to promise myself that I'm never gonna go a summer again where I don't go to the beach. That's sad. This is a very iconic book. I feel like this cover is just so widely known, and of course it's by Emily Henry. I really liked her book, Book Lovers. I gave that like 4.5 stars. I really liked it. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. The one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult. Obviously. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love, really. That actually sounds pretty fun. Because all of these books look so good, and I feel like this is harder for me to choose from, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin a wheel. All right, we're gonna spin the wheel. Let's go. Okay, we have a winner. Ha! Oh my God. The fact that I put the name wrong, I think it's because I was thinking of driving. But anyway, what I meant to write was Blind Side. I do have a blind spot, and it is factually spelling book titles correctly because of the premise. I think it's trying to pull out the infamous bookmark. Ta-da! Good morning, guys. We are gonna start reading Blind Side. I actually am really excited because I've had this for so long and I've heard such good things about it. So we're just gonna do a quick chill little read together for the morning until I have to go to work. It's the next day and I just finished Blind Side by Candy Steiner, and I ended up rating this 4 stars. This was such a pleasant read. Like, I've been meaning to read it for a really long time, and I figured I'd like it because it's everything I love. Like a football romance. I hate watching the game of football, but I love football romances. Always fantastic. And this was fake dating, so I figured I'd really like it because it was like popular football player, very nerdy girl. But I ended up liking the main characters a lot more than I thought I would. Like, normally when I read a romance, it's like they can be epic together, but sometimes the characters aren't best separately. This one, I loved them. I thought both characters were so strong. I really liked their motivations, just their personalities were amazing. And especially for Clay, my heart really broke for him because I felt like he was just in a really tough spot. The only reason that I didn't give this 5 stars is because I felt that at the end, yes, I think the conflict was a valid one because Clay had to choose between his own selfish wants and needs as a people pleaser. He like wasn't used to doing that, and then had to choose between that and taking care of his mom. And I really did feel for him that it was a very tough choice. I just feel like at the end, Gianna didn't make it hard enough on him. She kind of immediately took him back. And like, yes, I understand that she like was aware that he was doing it for some other reason, because when he broke up, he was like crying with her. Like, she was so pissed at him. She was like, I hate you. Don't ever talk to me. You're a coward. And she kind of took him back immediately because he wrote this book called Blindside with stick figures and stuff, like being like, you know, I'm really sorry. Like, you know, I love you so much. And like, I would have expected him to like have to try a little bit harder, I guess. But ultimately, it was still a very cute book. I loved the fake dating aspect of it. It was just, I always love that like tensiony, like, oh my god, we're doing this for like pretend, but like, you know, they actually really like it. I thought their relationship was so cute. And additionally, gotta give my boy props because he took her romance books, took them, smuggled them out of her apartment, and studied them religiously. He was like, let me see where those tabs are. Let me see where it's highlighted. Not only that, he was like, let me look at the pages that seem to be the most worn from her touching them. Can you imagine? He's not just looking for highlights and tabs. He's looking for her fingerprints in these books to see what exactly she likes and wants out of a relationship. Normally when it's mentioned in books that like the male character notices that they're reading, it's kind of like joked about, referenced maybe once or twice. No. Clay Johnson did his homework. He was like, I'm about to know the shit out of you by studying the reading material. So here are the books that I have for C. This one, super popular, I'm sure you already know it, is A Court of Silver Flames. This is the only ACOTAR book that I have not read, and I really do love this series. I think I was asked one time, like, if you went to a desert island and could only bring 3 books with you, A Court of Mist and Fury was one of the books that I would bring with me. I could read that book forever and just not get bored. I really am eager to read this book. My sister got me this. It's a Barnes & Noble's exclusive copy. It's all black. One thing I am scared about is the fact that I'm not a huge Nesta fan. I've heard that at the end of this, you will understand her reasoning and just love it. I always love the misunderstood older sister trope as a misunderstood older sister. The next book that I have is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I actually have never read Taylor Jenkins Reid, even though she's such a popular, I feel like, booktube and book talk author. This would be my first attempt at reading her. A lot of her books seem very serious, heart-wrenching, a little on the traumatic side, so that's why I think I've been a little shy to read her stuff, but this one seems really cool. So the premise of this is that Carrie Soto is a very popular tennis player. She has so many world records for tennis, and she's in retirement until somebody beats her record. And she's like, absolutely not, I have to take that back. So she decides to return for one more year at 37 years old to reclaim her world record. So very interesting read, beautiful cover. I actually didn't buy this book. My aunt actually read this as part of her book club, and she doesn't really have the hobby of collecting books like I do, and she was nice enough to give this to me. Next one is Circe by Madeline Miller. I have yet to attempt to read Madeline Miller. A little daunting to read her books, but I just, number one, love this cover, and number two, love the premise of like, you know, mythology and things like that. So this book, it says, in the house of Helios, god of sun and mightiest of the Titans, a daughter is born. But Circe is a strange child, not powerful like her father, nor viciously alluring like her mother. Turning to the world of mortals for companionship, she discovers that she does possess power, the power of witchcraft, which can transform rivals into monsters and menace the gods themselves. Threatened, Zeus banishes Circe to a deserted island where she hones her occult craft and crosses paths with many of the most figures in all of mythology, including the Minotaur, Daedalus, and his doomed son Icarus, Medea, and of course Odysseus. But there is a danger too, for a woman who stands alone, and Circe unwittingly draws the wrath of both men and gods, ultimately finding herself pitted against one of the most terrifying and vengeful of the Olympians. To protect what she holds dear, Circe must summon her strength and choose once and for all whether she belongs with the gods she is born from or the mortals she has come to love. Next we have The Cruel Prince. So this one I actually just bought. I know I'm about like many years quarantined too late, but I have not read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And I started reading this a little bit when I was in Barnes & Noble's when I had gone to New York this past Christmas, and on Christmas Eve I bought this book. It's from the giant New York Barnes & Noble's, and I was very intrigued by by it. So it says, Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous High Court of Fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there, but many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win place at the court, Jude must defy him and face the consequences. The last C book that I own is The Celebrants. Once again, this was from my aunt's book club. She was nice enough to give this to me. I believe what this is about is basically these college friends decide to reunite every single year to basically catch up, talk about their greatest grievances, their greatest joys, and make sure that they're motivating each other. However, this reunion that they're at currently is a little bit different. They're basically trying to intervene on some of their friends. Also, there's some deep, dark secret that one of her friends have. I am very intrigued by this one, and the cover is very pretty. We are going to spin the wheel, and we're spinning. Let's see. So close. The winner is Circe. Oh, it seems that I bought this from Watch On Booksellers. If you guys haven't been there, very awesome, cute bookstore with an Italian restaurant attached to it. Very cool experience if you haven't been. Very excited to get into this world.
So I just wanted to give an update, and that is that I am halfway through Circe now, and I spent way too of an ungodly time reading this book tonight, but it was, so far what I can say about the book is that it is incredibly sad. Not in like a overly traumatic type of way, because I'm not really into that. It's more so in the fact that she is ridden with loneliness. Like, she's in exile, she's never been treated kindly, and the only man that has ever showed her kindness was a mortal, so he like died. And not only that, but like it was Daedalus who lost his son Icarus to famous story of flying too close to the sun, and that was the only man who showed her kindness, and therefore the only man that I liked. And the fact that the bar is so low that he was just kind and I liked him, and all she's ever wanted was just to be accepted and loved, and she's very loving. Like, she's not a bad person, she just wants companionship and love, and it's just so sad that like all these people are using her and she's not really finding anything in the world that she loves. The only thing that's making me happy is that she's really honing in on her witchcraft, and she's a very good witch, and that's something that brings her joy. But like, when she's immortal and she's all this time in her hands, like, she says that the years are passing like crazy and nothing's happening. She's like, I feel like the shadows haven't even moved. It's really, really sad. Maybe I'm dumb for not knowing this, but I didn't realize that Circe was a huge part of the Odyssey. And Hermes comes to Circe and is like, I can only tell you about a prophecy that Odysseus is going to come ashore here one day. And she's like, what the heck is that? And I went to look up what Circe has to do with the Odyssey, and I didn't realize that she like turned his crew members into pigs. It's been a while since I've read anything of the Odyssey, probably since high school, so like, I'm sorry I'm not smart enough to have recognized that, but that's coming. So I'm like halfway through the book. I'm hoping that she'll get some sort of happiness or contentment. I don't think this is gonna be like a love story type of thing, but I just want her to be happy. Like, okay, remember how I said it was sad? Well, her pet lion just died. I watched until the last flame was gone because she lit it on fire, then went back inside. A pain was gnawing in my chest. I pressed my hands to it, the hollows and hard bones. I sat before my loom and felt at last like the creature Medea had named me. Old and abandoned and alone, spiritless and gray as the rocks themselves. And by the way, the loom that she's spinning right now was given to her by her dead lover. I'm going to sleep. We are about to finish Circe. I have about 30 pages left. Kind of creeping me out because she has a thing for her son's half-brother, and they both share a father. So like, I don't know how I feel about that. She is a very good mom. She's really growing into herself as a witch, which is promising. It's just, I hope there's some sort of happiness in her end. So far it's been a lot of despair, not great fulfilling happiness, and I hope there's some bit of that.
I feel the heavy turning and testing now. I still feel your leg wrapped around.
I just finished Circe. Oh my god, the ending had me so emotional. I'm just so happy that she got what she wanted. It's not even that she like fell in love, it's that she's finally mortal. She could not take the unchangingness of her life, and she would rather be sick and ill and hurt and be able to feel everything than be immortal forever. I really did like this book. I rated it 4 stars. I think that it was such a good way to talk about how even women amongst the gods dealing with this torment, you know, all these things, and how this simple witch who like wasn't seen as anything made such a big impact in the world. And I really did like it. 4 stars.
Last night I finished Circe. I am remiss to move on to the next category, but also eager to see what's coming next, and that is the letter D. So I have 5 books that start with the letter D. The first one is a very good classic, Dracula. Obviously, if you are unaware, Dracula is the story told by Bram Stoker, a vampire who terrorizes this village. He succeeds entirely in his aim to terrify because he allows evil to remain mysterious. Civilized England cannot resist the vampire blood. Virtue has no impact, for it can simply be drained away like the victim's blood. Science cannot combat the undead, and it is only the old magic, a crucifix, garlic, and a wooden stake, which can provide effective weapons against Count Dracula's appalling power. I bought this for $5 from a thrift store, and it was actually one of the decorations that I kept on my little shelf over here. The next book is A Dangerous Alliance. This is not the normal type of book that I would read, but I did pick it up at Barnes & Nobles because they were doing like a Christmas blind date with a book type of thing. I was way too impatient to actually have it be a blind date with a book, and I ripped it open and then didn't read it. It's about Lady Victoria. So Lady Victoria Aston must marry or find herself and her family destitute. Armed only with the wisdom she's gained from her beloved novels by Jane Austen, she enters society's treacherous season. Sadly, Miss Austen has little to say about Vicky's exact circumstances, whether the roguish Mr. Carmichael is indeed a scoundrel, if her former best friend Tom Sherborne is out for her dowry or for her heart, or even how to fend off the attentions of the foppish Mr. Silby, he of the unfortunate fashion sensibility. Most unfortunate of all, Vicky's books are silent on the topic of mysterious accidents cropping up around her, ones that could prevent her from surviving until her wedding day. 3 options. I don't know how I feel about a love square, but that is A Dangerous Alliance. The next one is definitely a little bit different than my normal reads, but it's called Don't Text Your Ex Happy Birthday and Other Advice on Love, Sex, and Dating. What a title. This was a birthday gift to me. This guy, Nick Vile, is somebody who was on The Bachelor. And so these are like a compilation of like hot takes and stories about dating and relationships. And so it's just like a compilation of those different stories. The next one is A Darker Shade of Magic. Can you believe that I've never read V.E. Schwab? Like, not only have I not read this book, I've just never read V.E. Schwab in general. Cal is one of the last Antari, magicians with a rare coveted ability to travel between parallel Londons, red, gray, white, and once upon a time, black. Cal was raised in Arns, Red London, and officially serves the Moorish Empire as an ambassador, traveling between the frequent bloody regime changes in White London and the court of George III in the dullest of Londons, the one without any magic left to see. Unofficially, Kel is a smuggler, servicing people willing to pay for even the smallest glimpses of a world they'll never see. It's a defiant hobby with dangerous consequences, which Kel is now seeing firsthand. After an exchange goes awry, Kel escapes to Grey London and runs into Delilah Bard, a cutpurse with lofty aspirations. She first robs him, then saves him from a deadly enemy, and finally forces Kel to spirit her to another world for a proper adventure. Now perilous magic is afoot, and the treachery lurks at every turn. To save all the worlds, they'll first need to stay alive. Wow. The way that Kel and Delilah meet reminds me a lot of in Once Upon a Time how Snow and Prince Charming meet. So I'm excited for that. That's very cool. And the last one is A Dance of Thieves. I just got this book in my book haul. I'll link it up above. A formidable outlaw family that claims to be the first among nations, a son destined to lead thrust suddenly into power. 3 fierce young women of the Raton, the Queen's premier guard, the legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself, a dark secret that is a threat to the entire continent. When outlaw leader meets reformed thief, a cat and mouse game of false moves ensues, bringing them intimately together in a battle that may cost them their lives and their hearts. Not gonna lie, I really am intrigued by this one. What we're gonna do is, of course, we're gonna spin the wheel. I'm scared. Why do I get scared every time I spin this? It's Dance of Thieves! Yes! Okay, I know I said I didn't want to say which one, but like, yes, I was low-key rooting for Dance of Thieves.
So, just watched the Super Bowl, and it was getting a little boring in the middle, so I started to read A Dance of Thieves. I actually really like it now. In the beginning, it was super slow. It picked up really well after they got back from the wilderness. One thing I didn't expect, how quickly they got together. Like, this was enemies to lovers, and it's still getting enemies to lovers, but while they were like in the wilderness chained together, they were like, let's make the best of it and just kind of like make out all the time, which like I'm not upset about it, but like they already got together, and now that they're back in like Jace's kingdom, they're now enemies again, which I like it. It's very spicy. And now it's like tension, forced proximity. It's cool. I like it. It's good. It was a little slow, but it's picking up, so I am hopeful.
Hi guys. I finished Dance of Thieves by Mary Pearson. Look at this cute little bookmark. So I bought my sister a little like pendant bookmark like this, and the company actually sent me a free one, which was so nice of them. I bought her an Akatar themed one, and I've been using this bookmark for Dance of Thieves. Beside the point, I finished the book, and honestly, I was really conflicted on how to rate this because I did take an absolute long time to finish this. And I don't know if it was just because maybe I was just mentally in a reading slump. I don't know if it was really the story making me bored, or if I was just like mentally checked out. Maybe I was just a little bit tired, didn't want to be reading so much. But it ended up taking me about 2 weeks to finish this book, which is astronomically long for me. I ended up really liking the end of the story. I feel like the ending really made up for the beginning because the beginning was incredibly slow, but the ending really had me nostalgic for where they lived, especially Tor's Watch. Even the main character kind of fell in love with that place and was sad to leave it, and I'm excited for them to return. Now, because I am on a book buying ban right now, and the reason I'm doing this whole video is because I don't want to be buying books, I did not purchase the second book of this, but I did add it to my wish list, which I've linked below, and I've also linked the trilogy that comes before this. I didn't realize this duology was part of a spin-off of an original trilogy. So the queen in this book, first of all, they were spending so much time describing the queen, her baby, and how tender the king was for her, and I was like, something about me smells like this has been a series before, which is cool. I'm interested in reading the prequel, not right now though, but in the future, so I added those to my wish list as well. So overall, I ended up rating this book 4 stars. I feel like the ending did make up for the beginning, and I think that it just gave me strong found family. It was a very, very good enemies to lovers, almost fake dating because they had to pretend to be together, but they ended up falling in love with each other. But for right now, that is the end of my alphabet challenge video. I cannot believe we finally finished. I read 4 books going in alphabetical order through my TBR, and that was so fun. I don't know when I'll do part 2, but if you like this, please let me know, and I can definitely pick it up again, so that way we can make through more books in my TBR pile. If you have prompts that you want me to use, or different ways that I can go through the books that I physically own, that would be so appreciated. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Look at her style from the street. Look at her style from the ghetto. This I will never make it big. Me, I tell them say, oh no.